Oy, oy, oy. Right, get yourself organised, you old fart. Right, you've got that there, that there, that there, that there. That's organised there. Notes are there. Not that you ever take any notes of your notes. Cyrus there. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. There's one of you out there. I wonder who that is. I wonder who that is. Da, da, da. Hey John, how you doing, mate? Happy hot Sunday. What's the temperature like over there? It's not too. It's warming up here again. Here we've had a couple of cool days, but it's starting to warm up again. They reckon it's going to get up somewhere around 35 to 40 over the next 2 weeks. But that could be just the media scaremongering as normal. We can never really tell. Yeah. Oh, 3 people. Right, guys, welcome. Over 100. Jeez. Not what you need, my friend. Definitely not what you need. There is nice warm weather, and there is it gets to the point where the human body don't like it at all. Hopefully you got a little bit of a breeze or something at least blowing through, moving the air for you. That will make it a little bit more comfortable. But other than that, my friend, hydrate, stay in the shade, and do as little as humanly possible. Air conditioning all the way. Yeah, it's my hole in the ozone layer. I created it. I'm going to use it. I don't know about. I tell you what, it always makes me chuckle. You get people in countries who sit there and go, "No, you shouldn't be allowed air conditioning. You shouldn't be allowed this. You shouldn't be allowed that." Yeah, you go and live in one of those countries, or you go live somewhere where you get 100-degree heat and high humidity. Tell me that you wouldn't have air conditioning. Yeah, right. So I hope everybody's had an awesome week, and I hope you're all good. Hope you're all fit, fine, funky, and I hope that all is well with you and your families. So we're going to cover survival kits later on tonight, and I will be honest with you. Hi, Lee. Nice to see you, mate. I haven't done a lot of research other than what I've sort of covered myself over the years. I originally had this big plan, so I was going to spend 8 hours on YouTube and just look at all the different types of survival kit and work them out in my own mind, and life just makes you busy, and that all goes completely tits up. So basically, we will be covering survival kits tonight, wives, wherefores, and woes, but purely off my own back. So some of you, evening Mac, some of you may disagree with me. Some of you may agree with me. Some of you might hear an idea that's new to you, and some of you might share with us up there something that's new to that. But again, survival kits are based on knowledge. Knowledge is based on experience. Every single one of us has different life experiences and lives in different conditions, different places, has different threats, has different issues that they have to contend with. Also has different laws that apply and therefore affect what you cannot carry, and what you can use. And one of the discussions I had with one of my subscribers today was about med kits. Okay. And he is bloody good, and he carries all the kit. I mean, every bit of kit you would need. However, although me, Mac, and several others have got a wealth of experience within the first aid, the medic role, in the UK, our rules are a little bit different. And so if I post something up here, turning Little John down the road, yeah. This is how you're going to intubate somebody, and he decides to do it to his sister. Guess who gets sued? So again, I have to be a little bit careful. But saying that, at the end of the day, it's all about knowledge, and that should be your first bit of kit in your box. Really, is still is trying to work out or learning as much as possible, learning as much as possible about your situation. Yeah, plans never survive first contact. Hey, tell me about that. Yeah, yeah, and what you need to carry. And the other thing is, are you carrying for a personal role? Are you carrying for groups? So I've had to do both over the years. I've had to carry for a personal role, or I've had to carry for a group. Most of the guys that I work with are experienced enough that I know they've got their own med kit, they've got their own gear with them on their person that is applicable to them. Yeah, can't go wrong with a tube of super glue. And so again, in the case of an injury, um, say Mac or somebody has an injury, I'm not going to my first aid kit to sort him out. I'm going to his first aid kit. It's his kit. Go to his kit, sort him out with his kit. Because if then later on I have an issue, somebody's going to go to my kit to sort me out, which also means things like dressings and that are person particular. Okay, so you get guys out there with all sorts of funny little allergies in this world. So if you're using his first aid kit from his gear, and then he has an allergic reaction, goes in for anaphylactic shock and all the issues that are attended with that. Well, mate, it's his kit. I used his kit. It's what he carried for himself. Okay. Same thing with meds. We very, very, very strong rules here on med issue. Even when I'm out or when I was instructed, I could not issue meds, even down to things like paracetamol, even in small and light doses to somebody because I wasn't medically qualified to do that. However, again, if they've got their meds in their kit, then I can give them their meds from their kit, and it's a pain in the arse. I mean, I'll be honest with you. What I have done in the past, I've turned around to people and said, right, okie doke, look, there's a pack of paracetamol there. They are my paracetamol. They're in date. Read the precautions, and if you wish to have one of my paracetamol, you might do, but it's at your own risk. You're issuing it to yourself. You shouldn't have to do that, but again, you've got to cover your ass, haven't you? And that's another thing with this whole being out in the woods and that and enjoying yourselves is you've got to look after yourself. You're the primary role. In a survival situation, well, then it goes. If you have a genuine survival situation, then the rule of law goes completely out the window. So if you're caught in a major flood scenario and there are people trapped, injured, and so on, you've got to do, or you can do, whatever is necessary. It's classed as an emergency. And in an emergency situation, Evelyn Jace, in an emergency situation, pretty much anywhere in the world, you doing what you can do to help people is what's important. Or you take the other role, which is bug out and look after yourself. Personally, I'm not that sort of person. I'd rather help other people. I'm a great believer in the human race and the fact that, well, as somebody was saying the other day, teamwork. At the end of the day, you can bug out to the hills on your own, completely alone, and you can try and survive out there. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but I am saying it's very, very hard, especially if you're in a high risk situation, because some point you've got to sleep. Some point you've got to do heavy work. At some point you need somebody to watch your back. And it might not be against a human threat. It could be even against a wildlife threat. Okay. Again, if you're waiting for rescue, two is better than one because you can sleep in shifts and one person's watching that fire all the time and keeping it going. Yeah. So teamwork, teamwork, teamwork all the way for me. And I know there's guys out there that will say, no, I'm heading for the hills and I'm doing one on my own. That's fine if that's what you want to do. It's your knowledge, your method, your system. So again, on this channel, I never tell you, unless it's 100% like don't eat you berries because the seed will kill you. Although the fruit's quite pleasant, do like them. I won't. These are all just my methods, my systems. I'm not telling you right from wrong. I'm telling you, or hopefully, if anybody's new to it, giving you some ideas to go off and search and trial for yourself. So, how you doing, Ray? How you doing, my friend? Right, sorry, let's put this cigarette out. I've been waiting for this. Waiting for this all week. Oh, even trimmed the beard up for you tonight. Thought I'd get my rugged good looks out. So, anybody out there's watching that's new to the channel, okay? I try not to smoke on channel, although occasionally you do catch me with a cigarette in my hand, and I apologise, okay? But on a Sunday night, brazen sort of person that I am, I'll have my cigars. Normally through the week I smoke cigarettes, and I try and wean myself off the cigarettes a bit. I use nicotine pouches, which basically just tuck behind your lip. They're not tobacco. They are a nicotine basic substitute. You're getting nicotine, but you're getting it without all the nasty chemicals. Which means I can go watch the pictures now without having to dive outside for a smoke. Awesome. Yeah, but on a Sunday night at the social in my bar, my bar's a bit much in it, man cave, was the spare bedroom. I'll have my cigar. So, if there's anybody out there that doesn't like smoking and it offends you, sorry, it's one of my little pleasures. And no, they're not super expensive cigars. They're not Cubans. They're not Havanas. Wish they were, but they're not. They are Henry Winterman's half Coronas. Okay, same cigar that my father smoked, and that is one of the reasons I like a cigar. Is it always reminds me, or the smell of it and the taste of it always reminds me of a very safe, comfortable, friendly, if a little bit strict at times, childhood. Okay, my father was he had his rules. You obeyed the rules. You lived by the rules and the standards that he applied until you were old enough to leave home, and then you were free to do your own thing. But until you left home, it's his house, his rules. Gone now, bless him. So I have my cigar Castellos. Yeah, I'm a Castellos. And I'll tell you another one. My father used to smoke, and I used to love, and you can't find them now. And I think they were called Old Port or something. And it wasn't a big cigar, but it had a plastic tip to it, which stopped it chewing up your lip. And they had I don't know whether they were dipped in port or what. It was that long ago, but they were a really nice smoke. They were quite smooth and gentle on throat. Anyhow, cider of choice tonight, as we know, I only drink once a week, and that's with you guys. It's a Merry Down cider, mid-strength, so it's a 6.8 vintage apple cider, smooth, crisp, and perfectly balanced. And it's been in the fridge for about 3 days, so it is good and cold. So, cheers to you all. Especially my friend John out there in his 100-degree heat. My friend, if you can get your hands on a cold bottle of cider, do so. As a good West Countryman, I'll tell you there's nothing more refreshing. Oh. Cheers, Steve. If you don't mind being called Steve, Stephen, Stephen, yeah. There we go. I'm just going to catch up. Hang tough. Hiya, mate. How you doing? You made it. Okay. So to all you other guys that are here, hang tough. God, I'm useless names. I believe it's Derek. Okay, I've been watching his channel in the States, and yeah, he's like a brother from another mother. This guy knows his shit. Oh, excuse my language, but yeah, he knows his stuff, and he thinks very similar to me. Got a very, very similar wavelength in the way we pack our kit, the way we carry our kit. Very no nonsense, and it is based about personal requirements. Again, in his channel, he doesn't turn around to you and go, "You've got to do it like this," or "This is the best way." He sits there and says, "This is what works for me. This is how I find it works." And yeah, I like the guy. So if any of you are a bit bored through the week and you're not watching anything of mine, yeah, dive on the old YouTube. All right, hang tough. have a look through, find him. Yeah, like, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff for him. Because again, he's another guy like me. He's building up. Okay, and yeah, still welcome, mate. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, do excuse me. Do excuse me. Anyhow, so what have we all been doing this week? What have we all been doing? Let's have a look, see if anybody's given me any tips, ideas. Costello's. Yeah, so once a week I have my cigar. Once a week I allow myself a drink. Yeah, the wife's a cider drinker as well, so, occasionally been known to argue over a bottle. Yeah, smokers. Now, I'll tell you another thing. Smoking. Okay, no. It's a bad habit. It's a filthy habit, we know. Okay? But I'll tell you what. When the poo hits the fan, it's the smokers that have said how to smoke. They tend to be the ones that are just sort of go, yeah, right, okay, doke, chilled out, relaxed. It gives the brain a reset. Right? I'm not saying it's the nicotine that genuinely helps, but that act of going, oh, fuck, what are we going to do? Wrong fag, like the fag. You're stopping. What you're doing is allowing your brain to just go, right, sort my cigarette out, light my cigarette, make my cigarette. Now think, what am I going to do? Okay, you're allowing that gap to allow the old brain to figure out what it really needs to do, other than react. Non-smokers, back, it's on fire. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? You see the smokers today looking at it, going, well, there's bugger all we can do. In fact, I'm just going to light my cigarette off it. Okay, so again, yeah, sharing a cigarette, sharing a need. Okay, don't. So if you're addicted to nicotine, yeah, it does. The act of sharing the addiction to nicotine with somebody else as well. It's a very social thing. Right? I will never refuse another man a smoke if he asks me politely and friendly, may I have a smoke? Okay. And the reason behind that is one day I may be in that situation myself. And hopefully people would be social enough if I was desperate enough to ask somebody for a smoke to say, yeah, not a problem, mate. And that's the thing, yeah. And for those that have given up, full respect to you. I have tried and tried. I actually gave up for 10 years, slipped back into it by accident. And again, that was because of cigars. And yeah, unfortunately, never managed to kick the habit since. Yeah, yeah. And again, I try where I can to also, and this is the thing, when people were saying, oh, smokers are unsociable. Well, most of the smokers I met or I know are quite willing to accept the fact that smoking is something they wish to do, something they enjoy, but they're not going to inflict it on somebody else. You're not going to sit, it's not the 1950s, you're not going to sit opposite somebody in a restaurant puffing a cigar in their face while they're having their food. I find most smokers are actually quite responsible, quite respectable. They'll sit there and say to somebody, "Do you mind if I have a smoke?" Right? And that person says, "Well, I'd rather you didn't. I've got a chest problem, or I really don't like it, or I'm trying to give up myself, so I'd rather you didn't." Yeah, no worries. I'll just dive outside and have a smoke then. Okay. So again, that's another thing I find with smokers. A lot of the old attitudes towards smoking have changed. We're still vilified and seen as demons, but if people actually open their eyes and see it's the other way around. Some of the antis, as it is in a lot of things in this life, anti people. Oh no, you can't do that. I'm not allowing you for your own good. Yeah, we got anti-smokers, right? So they're quite a militant bunch. And we got anti-fuel users, and we got anti-gun, and we got anti-walking, anti-4x4, anti this, that, that. Do you know what? You notice that there's some of the most militant fuckers going, right? And they're not nice about it. Yeah, it's quite funny how it goes. Yeah, I remember it as a kid myself. Yeah, yeah. I remember being a nipper. Weirdly enough, being a kid. So, for those of you that are not in the UK, I don't know if you've got the same system out in the States, or used to have the same system in the States, but in the UK, Saturday mornings, the local picture house, they would have Saturday morning shows or Saturday morning pictures, what it was, and it was literally just for kids, and it would run from about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning through to about 1 o'clock, and it was just kids stuff. It was Laurel and Hardy, it was cartoons, they had, it was the Lone Ranger, and that would have that yeah. I used to drive people up the wall because I used to come out of that, 8 years old, top of the double decker bus, travelling back home, and that was it. I was a Lone Ranger. Get home, first thing I wanted to do was ride a cow. Yeah, didn't have a horse I could get on, but a cow would do. So, but at Saturday morning pictures, right? Bear in mind it's full of kids, right? And there would probably be 200 or 300 kids in there, and probably about 50, 60 adults. But the air was blue with smoke. It wasn't coming for the kids; it was those adults all puffing away the cinema. Yeah, yeah, and that whole thing. Yeah, it's sod's law. It's luck, right? Luck of the draw, I think, on anything. Smoking, what you eat, your health, your fitness. It's all luck of the draw. You know, yeah, great days. They were great days. Um, God, do you know what? I still get emotional when I hear, right, the Lone Ranger theme. Yeah, there's still something inside me that gets all excited. Goes back to being that 8-year-old kid sat there on the back of the chair in front of me like that. Oh yeah, loved it, loved it. I know where you're going with that, Mac. Yeah. So yeah, survival kits. Let's get on to that. So, and again, those of you that are new, Sunday social. We do this every Sunday. We quite often end up going off piece completely because people will throw up a question and then it all goes off down the line. By all means, talk among yourselves. If you want to start a conversation between you and somebody else on the chat, do so. It's not an issue. This place here, I imagine it as if I owned this bar and you're all guys stood at my bar. We're all sat there having a chinwag, having a natter. Some people are having their own conversations. Some people are listening to somebody else. Somebody might be watching the pool that's going on behind them. It's a cool, relaxed, social Sunday. Hence, I have a drink and I have a cigar. So again, you guys that are new to it, there we go. And what I tend to do, I sit this side and waffle. I sometimes tell a story or a tale of somebody that's had an incident, which, again, in my previous career, was one of the things I do teaching survival is I would take examples and then relay those examples onto the students because quite often I was dealing with young men, young women. They've had quite sheltered lives and never been pushed or never had to push themselves or never found themselves in a situation where they've had to push their body to an extreme. So hearing about somebody else's tale makes them realise how much further they can push themselves with any luck. And that's how we do our show, Social Sunday. And again, it doesn't get huge numbers. And am I too worried about that? No, because I tell you what, every Sunday it's the same guys, right? And every Sunday we gain one or two more, right? And those that like it, stick with it. Those that don't find it's for them, that's fine, not a problem. Watch other videos, but this is social time, okay? Anyhow, let's get back onto my subject. Right, so yeah, survival kits. Where would you be without your survival kit? Well, your first piece of survival kit, the most essential bit you've had, and you've had it since the day you could crawl, is that. Okay, right from the beginning, learning how to go up and down steps, learning balance, learning what was hot, what was cold, learning that you couldn't walk through stinging nettles in shorts. It's all an education and it's all up there. Now, you can have all the gear in the world. If you haven't got it up there and you haven't got the will and the effort to want to survive, you're pretty much screwed. So, mental kit is your first thing. Okay. And as you build your mental kit, you also build a mental length. Okay. You mental length. This is the TBI talking again. A mental strength. Okay, you build a resilience. You build a knowledge. You build an ability to look at a situation and go, I know what to do. Okay, or I have a good idea what to do. Whereas other people may be flapping and panicking. Okay. Reason for kit? Well, kit makes life easier. Simple as that. Okay. You have your kit to make your situation, whether it's something you're going to voluntary, you're going to climb Everest, or whether it's having a car kit, whether it's having a get home kit, whether it's having a bug out bag, an inch bag, okay, whatever you've got, okay, you build that kit to suit you. And no two people are going to be the same, okay. No two environments are going to be the same. No two situations are going to be the same. You'll get one guy will build a kit because he may be in an area that's prone to flood. Right. Excuse the TBI again. I do apologise. Prone to flooding. Maybe somebody else lives in an earthquake zone. Maybe somebody else lives in a situation where it's political unrest. Okay, so they're going to adapt their kits and their equipment to what their most likely situation is going to be. They're also going to understand their terrain. Okay, I lived on a hill, and the area around me was prone to flooding. So my kit wasn't about water survival. My kit was about not being able to get food, not being able to have electricity, not being able to have clean water. So my kit was based on that because I'm staying put. I've got shelter. Okay, I'm high enough to know I'm not going to be affected by the flooding. Okay, so all I've got to do is sit tight, sit situation out. Also being aware that other people around me that weren't in a position where they're going to be above the flood level may need to evacuate to my place. Okay, so then I step it up. I'm like, right, so I'm going to need extra supplies because what I don't want to do is sit here quite happy in my little cosy shelter. And when somebody bangs on the door, their bedraggled family and granny in a wheelchair and everything else, go, sorry guys, you should have sorted your own shit out. Shut the door. No, I'm not that sort of human being. I'd rather go, come in, sit down, dry yourselves out, make yourselves comfortable, and know I've got enough to cover it. Yes, again, you don't want to be in a position where you make yourself weak that way, i.e., you know, if you can only afford to look after 25, 30 people, you can only afford to look after 25, 30 people. If 200 people turn up because the local football team and all their supporters and the coaches following them are also caught in a flood, yeah, no, sorry, you guys are going to have to go in the barn. There's some bits here that'll eke you out, but I can give you shelter and I can give you water, and that's about it. Okay, so again, rationalise what you got and how you're going to apply it. And terrain and environment is probably the most important part of thinking about your kit. The videos I have seen, the survival kits you can buy fall into three categories in my view. The first category is tier one, and tier one is the dedicated, professionally built survival kit. It's the sort of thing that you would carry on a ship, or you'd have on a boat, or you'd have on a plane, you'd have on something that was going to be travelling and had a risk or potentiality of ending up ditching. Okay, so that kit is usually based on water and water purification, a simple shelter system, and a high calorific, simple ration, something that was light, easy to carry, going to keep the fuel going, keep the body functioning, and keep you going. Then you get kit two, and kit two tends to be more expensive than kit one. And kit two has everything in it. Absolutely. I've seen these $10,000, $15,000, has everything in it. And it's all brand name. It's all good gear. It's all brilliant gear. But it comes in a box that you're not going to put in the car or on your boat. And you're definitely ain't going to get it on a light aircraft because it's going to weigh too much. So you're going to keep it at home. And you, again, I'm not saying they're bad kits. However, what I am saying to you is you can probably build a more effective kit for yourself for that situation. 100, £200, it's that $250. And that will be a family kit that will get you by. And again, how long are you going to need it for? Right. So these are survival kits. So survival kit. Are we talking long-term survival? Well, truthfully speaking, if you're going into long-term survival, you've already got to have a forager scavenger mindset, because you've got to have it in the back of your head. Unless you've got 25 years worth of food buried, sooner or later I'm going to have to go and replenish. And I'm going to replenish from foraging, so that's going to be taken from the wild, or scavenging. Okay. And right from day one, if it's a scavenger environment, you want to be scavenging. Even if you've got a year's worth of supplies, you want to already be thinking, I need to top up. Because every day that's going, I'm eking out a day's supplies. Those supplies need to be topped. Otherwise, in a year's time, and no doubt it will be in the middle of winter or when you can least afford it, or deal with it, it all runs out. Okay. It does. Yeah, Lee Michael, you're right. 90% of people pack for what they think will happen, but usually something happens that throws it all in the poo. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the great toilet paper panic of the COVID disaster, prime example. Prime example. Yeah, people going out spending thousands of pounds on toilet rolls, right, for something that you're not going to shit yourself to death over. Okay, and let's face it, I grew up. Yeah, I might be indelicate. This, I grew up in an era when toilet paper was still pretty much a luxury. Okay, um, what we called mum's loo, which was the indoor fancy toilet, had toilet roll. But if you were out at the barn or the workshop and you used the outside loo, that had the yellow pages torn up into 4-inch square sheets hanging on a bit of string that had a nail on the end so you could push fresh sheets on it. And then you had a sink. So that's how you did it. So again, it's applying that mindset. It's thinking about the terrain. It's thinking about, what do I really need? How far do I need to go? Am I bugging out or am I bugging in? Okay, so there's two schools of thought on that. For a start, for your survival kit, it's got to come down to weight. So if you're going to go off travelling, and you're going to be carrying £100, £150, £200 on your back, you really, really, tell you from experience, you don't want to, because you ain't going far. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, John, you're exactly right. Adapting. So adaptation that is a survival kit. The ability to adapt, the ability to learn, recognise what you need, see the situation, think to yourself, right, where are we going to go with this and how are we going to deal with it? Okay. Um, you know, it is just adapting. And that's, again, it's a survival kit. It is having the knowledge is the biggest weapon or the biggest kit you can have. And anyhow, third type of kit, right? And these are the ones that bug the tits out of me, which they're always branded as the ultimate. Save your family for 72 hours in any environment and any condition. And when you actually look at the kit, you sit there and you think to yourself, fucking hell, I wouldn't use that as a practice kit, right, for kids at primary school. It's crap. Okay. Or it's got loads of junk stuffed into it that in a survival situation you're never ever going to use. Or even worse than that, it's got things like unbranded purification tablets and medicines. Well, don't ever go near them because you have no idea what's in it. Okay, I'm not a big one for labels, but when it comes to things like water purification and meds, stick with the brands you know you can trust. Yeah, petrol and diesel will become currency in a disaster situation. Smokes, they'll become currency. Ask anybody that's a smoker what they're going to do when tobacco runs out. Probably grow their own, to be honest with you. It can be done easy enough. salt's currency, alcohol. Yeah, alcohol. Good trading gear. I always said to people, right, three things. Right, traveling around the world, dodgy countries, or say countries where you could have difficulties. Okay, depending on the religion and the faith and that country, alcohol, smokes. Right, get you through almost any border, and it will deal with almost any police officer. Okay, in a corrupt country, even if he's a non-smoker, he'll take them smokes and go, don't use the local brand and don't buy the cheapest. Okay, even if it means, and I used to have an old mate that used to do this. He was a non-smoker, and he used to turn around to the lads that smoked Marlboro and say to them, "When you're done with your fags, give us your fag packets." And he used to collect the fag packets up, and then what he'd do is he'd go out and buy the absolute cheapest cigarettes he could, and he'd fill up all these Marlboro packets, and that's what he would use to get himself out the poo. That's what he'd use himself for bribes. And it was him that taught me, and he said, quite often, these people you give them to, they don't smoke themselves. Take them back, and they will present them to somebody else that's important. You know, they'll earn themselves favours with somebody else. Yeah, tobacco and alcohol, and it's one of those things you can do. Okay, so and again, if it came to a survival situation in the UK, in the States, or in Europe, right, when people have run out of stuff, they start looking for it, and they start wanting it desperately. They're prepared to do almost anything for it. In your mind, it's leave me alone, or I need what you've got there. I'll give you this. Oh, and again, always be aware, especially with the alcohol thing. Yeah, dentists. Oh, well, there we come. Skill sets. Skill sets in a survival situation, or what I like to call a primary situation. A primary situation is a situation where everything that is that I rely on in a civilized society is out the window. All the people are still there, all the needs and the wants are still there, but I'm down to the primary needs. People are now only thinking about shelter, food, fire, water. Okay, everything's come down to a primary level, and when you're down to a primary level, skill sets start to come in. Nobody's going to kill a dentist. Nobody's going to kill a doctor. Okay, because even your most corrupt, even your most bad, are going to be sitting there and thinking to themselves, "I can use that." Okay, I might need him or her. Okay, so you can use those skill sets not only to trade, but to put yourself in a powerful situation. Who were the powerful people? Who were the important people? Yeah. If you look back on early societies, who were the people that were lifted up above people straight away? Well, they were people like doctors. They were people like dentists. These were important people who very quickly learned that, yeah, I can treat you. It's going to cost you. That created wealth. That lifted them up in their station. And yeah, yeah, armor skills. Yeah, simple abilities. That's it. It's yeah, yeah, like Jace, chefs, right? A chef, a fucking good cook. You understand? Right, you say the army, right? Who are your two best friends, right? One is the cookhouse, okay, and the other one's the medic, because both of those are going to give you what you need when you want it, okay, depending on your cookhouse, obviously. So, other than that, you didn't piss those two people off because they were both people that could make you very, very ill, very uncomfortable, and get away with it. So, so again, what skill sets do you have in a survival situation that you can offer to a group that may put you in a position of protection, may put you in a position of looking after you? Supply guy, yeah. Somebody somebody has knowledge, okay? And again, that knowledge. Max going with Jason, he likes his food. Okay, so knowledge. Yeah, can as we were doing the other day, improvised fuels on burners. Okay, go out and experiment with these things. That's how I did it. I mean, not all those I'd used before. The fuel injector cleaner, that was literally on the shelf in front of me when I was looking for something else, and I thought, well, no, that'll work. Okay, I'll try a bottle of that. What's the worst that can happen? Okay, and a read, yeah, it's flammable, it's got a vapor rate. I'll give it a try. Well, it turned out to be pretty poor in the end because it was very, very oily. Okay, but once it was going, it worked. It's having that sort of knowledge. So when everybody else is in the situation, just sitting there gibbering away, freezing their asses off, wishing they could make coffee, and they can't. Yeah, you're sitting there looking at it going, right, excellent, we can do. Now, getting back to survival kits. Gear. Okay, now I made a comment last week about gear, and I made that comment in the wrong way. It came across in the wrong way because I may have made a few of you think that my attitude to equipment is you shouldn't have expensive gear. It's not. If you can afford expensive gear, or if you can afford to collect, or you can have nice things because they will work better. Okay. If you've got a handcrafted knife made by a professional knife maker that you will spend a lot of money buying, it's going to be a bloody good quality knife. Okay. If you can afford a jet boil over an Amazon gas cooker, go with the jet boil. Okay. The point I was trying to make was quite simply that your skill set, your mental skill set comes first, and then you make do with what you can. And if you're on a low budget, don't feel that you can't get kit and make it work because you sure as hell can. And it's one of the reasons I stick to, or I do a lot of budget gear, is purely and simply I'm on an extremely tight budget myself. It looks like I've got a load of gear here. That gear's been collected over many years. Once a month, we have a look at our budget and see if I can pick up another item to add of interest for you guys. Okay, so I know what it's like to be working on a tight budget, and I think the majority of people today are struggling. They are looking to where the next pound or dollar's coming from, and are having to think about things a lot more carefully than we could 10, 15 years ago. So and when I look at some of the other YouTube channels, and we all know the ones that sit there, they've got that big that they're given kit. Okay, they start getting big companies going, we'll give you this 10, we'll give you this electric bike, we'll give you this knife, we'll give you this cook set. Okay, and these are invariably multi, well, $700 or $800, £700 or £800. Okay, review it on your channel. Okay, you get to keep it afterwards. Brilliant, brilliant. I'm not knocking that. If I got to that point, of course I would. I'd be a happy bunny. Be like that. Look at that. I could never afford to buy that myself or justify it. Look what I've got. Okay. But at the end of the day, those guys sometimes forget there are the young guys that are just starting out, the nippers, the kids. There are the guys on an extremely low budget who works his arse off, right? Long hours all week to make a minimum wage. And all he'd like to do is the weekend, maybe once every 2 or 3 months when he can afford it, have a couple of days up in the woods enjoying himself. Okay. And those are the guys I'm after. Those are the guys I try to help. I try and assist because some of the big channels aren't doing that. They've forgotten where they started. And that's it. So I'm not knocking having expensive kit. In actual fact, if any of you got expensive kit and you want to show me or you want to tell me how good it is, hit me up, let me know, because it gives me the information I can feed back on somebody else. I got asked, I'm not going to say the brand or the maker or the famous person behind it. I had somebody on a survival course who came in with a knife, and that knife cost him just shy of £400. And he had to wait 10 years for it. 10-year waiting list for that knife. And it was a beautiful, beautiful knife. It felt gorgeous in my hand. It was good quality. But when it actually come down to what we were doing, when we went to do some battening, oh, yeah, I'm going to put this one back in the car and I'm just going to get my cheap one out. And I said, well, why? You spent £400, 10 years waiting to get this bushcraft knife, and you're not going to use it for bushcraft. Oh, no. After all that, I'm not going to knacker it. What's the point in having it then? Right? Leave it at home, put it on the wall, keep it as a display piece. Okay? I've got a couple of knives here that you will never see me use up the woods. Let's get them down. Okay. I had a knife given to me by my cousin, and it was a knife that was passed on to him through a friend of his who had actually made quite a mess of it. The guy had got it, and the blade was a little bit pitted and marked, so he took a Dremel to it to try and clean it up, and made a bit of a pig's ear of it. And my cousin, knowing what I do, knows that I've got a fascination for old gear, said, well, look, are you interested in it? I'm just going to turn another light on up there so you'll be able to see. He said, you interested in this? And I said, well, yeah, go on in. And he said, no, I don't want nothing for it. He says, it's just a shame that it's going to waste. So I met up with him, and it was that one. So let's get that back in focus for you. Okay. And that knife there, when you first look at it, you're like, it's a folding knife. It's not. It has a detachable blade. Put my cigar down. And it has tools that come with it. Now, doing a bit of blacksmithing and looking at the quality of the steel and doing a couple of tests with it, it's very, very good quality steel. That file is absolutely awesome. You will cut really good quality steel with that. It works really, really well. And again, it's a simple system. It locks in like that. Files on there, screwdriver on that end, which he abused, or somebody had abused as well. Bottle opener. And I thought to myself, I really like that. That's nicely made. And I tried to do some research on it. Now, it is stamped on the blade. Okay, who specialise in making stuff for military officers. They made swords and that, which when you look at that blade there, the knife blade, the design of it, you can almost see a sword sort of reference to it. But on the handle there, you can't see because the light's all wrong. There is a stamp, and the stamp says DRGM 1227 103. So DGRM, I thought, I know that. So I did a bit of research. DGRM, if you come across any knife or tool with DGRM or DRGM, stamped on it, okay, that is a German / Austrian patent mark, okay, between 18, so I'll get this right, between 1840 and 1939, for any company outside, or no, any company within Austria or Germany that wished to bring in something that was made outside had to have a DRGM patent on it, which showed it wasn't made in Austria or Germany, and then you had to pay a higher tax on it. Okay, so that is obviously made between 1840 and 1939. It's a beautifully made piece of equipment. I can't find out any more information on it. Holds a fantastic edge. We've had all sorts of discussions with people. Somebody thought it might be something from Boy Scouting era from that time. Somebody else thinks it may be a one-off. Somebody else thinks it was a hunting knife. I don't know. Right? What I will say, it's a beautiful knife. It's very well made. It's still got its original leather sheath, which I've treated with neat's foot oil to try and prolong its life. I won't take it out and use it. It sits up there, and occasionally I get it down and I look at it and I think to myself, how many people's hands has that been through? How many people have held that as a prized possession? Okay, How many people have used it as just a tool? Okay, what's its story? Where's it been? It's just interesting, and it's beautifully made, and it's now in my hands. That will probably go on to my sons one day, and yeah, hopefully they'll have the same appreciation for it. If not, it'll pay for an evening out down the chippy. Okay, so there. Yeah, garage sales, old kit. You can't go wrong with it. And let's face it, you can pick up gear for a budget price. Um, yeah, it does look like a trench tool from Germany. It does look like one of those trench knives. But again, when I did my research in there, they're like, no, no, it wasn't. What's my favourite tarp setup? Law mice. Okay, no, my favourite tarp setup. Well, again, coming back to as we said before, survival kits. The tarp's part of my survival kit. I love a tarp. I like a simple shelter system. Hot weather, simple A-frame or plough point tarp over a hammock. Okay, gets the air around me, gets me off the ground. It's a comfortable way of sleeping. Keep any moisture off me if there's any dew point. I get to look out underneath it, get a bit of a breeze. Okay, that's my go-to summer tarp setup. And I've got a large DD tarp, and I've also got a military tarp. I've also dropped down to, if I'm carrying ultra light instead of carrying a full size military tarp, I've got a poncho, military poncho, which again, slightly smaller than the tarp, will do the same job. It's big enough to cover my body just about. Okay, if I turn it diamond pattern, so I sleep corner to corner rather than across it, it well and truly covers my body. Okay, winter months, so it's down to the ground for the winter months. Heavy canvas tent, right, or heavy canvas um, tarp, or something like the Lavu, and a stove, a simple stove. And again, the stove I've got, you'll see this winter, it was pretty much the cheapest one on Amazon, and it's done the job bloody well. Do I think hexamine's underrated? Swine Mac. No, I don't think hexamine's underrated. I think hexamine is bloody brilliant. I just don't like the smell. But again, as I said on the video the other day, okay, the new military stuff that a lot of people are poo-pooing and saying, "Oh, that Dragon Gel's absolute crap. It doesn't burn as long and it's not as hot." Well, it isn't, because it's designed to work in a different way, and it's designed as a tactical material. So it doesn't smell, doesn't give off a huge amount of light, and it will make the water warm enough to make a drink, and it will do enough to heat up a ration pack to the point where it's edible. Okay. However, it doesn't need to boil it, and it doesn't make it super, super hot. Hexamine goes back to a time when we were really still cooking in mess tins. So you were taking base ingredients and stewing up inside a mess tin. So hexamine burns hotter. It definitely burns longer. Okay, it's just not tactically efficient. I've decided that in my little stove set, it's hexamine all the way, purely and simply because it's efficient. It does the job. Okay, and somebody did ask me earlier on today, can you still get hexamine? Yes, you can. BCB still make and supply hexamine for the civilian market, and they sell it as it's combat spelt with a K cooker system, and in that you'll get the pack of tabs and the folding cooker, and they also sell the replacement hexamine tablets. Okay, so yeah, the survival world, I'll go with hexamine quite happily. It's light, it's efficient, does the job. Tactical world, I'll go with Dragon Gel. Okay, so again, it's adapt. Okie doke. My army service, right? I don't discuss it much, okay? Because I'm not one for blowing my own trumpet. Um, Well, I'll say this much to you guys. Right, I I'm a former engineer or Royal Engineer sapper. Okay, who did I say a few years the engineers, and then got out of that, and I went into private security. Okay, and I did all sorts of private security. Okay, and then I worked my way back into the Ministry of Defence, and I worked my way back into the Ministry of Defence, right, in training role. I ran, looked after, managed, and assisted with training on ranges and training areas. I've run demolition ranges, I've run grenade ranges, I've run yeah, every sort of basic small arms range you can imagine, including zero danger area ranges, which are multiple directional ranges. Now, on top of that, I have a wealth of experience within farming, countryside. I have worked as a forester. I have worked on farming. What else have I done over the years? I've even been a countryside warden and ranger, right, for a canal authority. So, wealth of jobs in my 60 years. Um, the most experience, I'm pretty lucky. Combat wise, not a lot, not a lot. I would say, Mac, how do I say this without getting myself in the shit? But it's right, I've got experience. Okay, I don't want to say too much about how, where, when, or why, but I have experience. Right? Some people take it that I'm ex special forces. No, I wasn't. Okay, I can promise you and tell you, hand on heart, I was never in any form of special forces. However, I have the great honour to have worked with them. Okay, I have assisted these guys in training. I've provided facilities for them. And being the sort of nosy twat I am, of course I stuck my nose in and found out as much as I could. And I built a relationship with a lot of the guys. Okay. Swapped ideas, swapped methods. Okay. Sometimes I was actually able to pass on ideas, kit and equipment to them. And likewise they passed it back to me. So I hold it with, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I have a wealth of military experience. Would I say to you I'm a veteran? No, I would not. Okay. I would say to you I am just one of those guys quietly in the background that got on with his job and assisted the guys that were out on the front line. Bear in mind my age. You got to remember I'm nearly 60. Right. Um, I assisted those guys. I mean, from 2000 to 2019, right, I saw guys that were going out and coming back every week. So, yeah. Rank wise, I have had the rank of a substantive rank of staff sergeant. By substantive rank, that means I was a civilian staff member given a position and rank to be able to actually go in with authority. Hope that helps. Yeah, and outside of that, the private side of things, yeah, we don't go into that. But cheers, Mac, for a para lad. Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, um, yeah. And again, as a lot of you guys are ex-military, there you go. That's that side. Okay, that's where I was based for a long, long time. Can't. Yeah, you know what it's like. You don't. One, I never want to be classed as a water. And there'll always be somebody out there that's prepared to go, oh, this is that. No. Okay. Tell you what I am. Do I have an army service number? Yes. Okay. Do you want my army service number? If you're ever interested, I'm not saying anybody's denying it, but if anybody ever comes to me and says, oh, yeah, will you? It's my army service number. Okay. You go and check my service number. You can look it up online. It ain't an issue. Okay. Kaz, my darling wife, she was civilian admin for Rangers. Yeah. So she was the lady that gave the guys permission to come onto the ranges, do their bookings for them, and even book things like helicopters and flights for them. What's my favourite quick grab bag? Ooh, I nearly made a Rudy once there. Sorry, love. My favourite grab bag. Fun bags, of course. Thank you, Lee. Yeah, we'll sit down one day when we get a chance to talk in person. I'll tell you a bit more in depth. That's where I have one of my issues come from. I have been diagnosed with something called survivor syndrome, and it's a guilt-based thing. When you're training, when you're training guys on a regular basis to go places, and a year or so later, you work again for several weeks with that same unit, same faces there, and then you notice a couple of people are missing, and then you find out the bad news. Yeah, it hits hard because you feel that you could have done more. That's where it goes. We'll get off that. Get off that. Right, it's on to some more important things. Survival. Survival is quite simple. It's what you got up there, what you got there. So again, firelighting. I do a lot of firelighting courses for people, and we do go to flint and steel. We work our way all the way down through the list of flint and steel, but I always start with an old cigarette lighter. Okay, and I say to them, if you're going to go into a survival situation, cigarette lighters first, ferrocerium rod second. Okay, then you can work down to chemical fire, and then from chemical fire you go down to flint and steel. Flint and steel, why is it not a primary role? Because it's a fiddly role. If you live in a very hot, dry climate, it's a go-to. It was the main way of making fire throughout the world, even in the northern latitudes, for thousands of years. However, we've developed the lighter. Okay, have the kit to make life easy, not hard. Your priorities are always going to be shelter first. I know it varies slightly with terrain, so shelter first, but that's your always your go-to, right? Whether it's, as my friend Derek was saying, clothing, and a lot of people forget this. Clothing is your first system for shelter. Okay, like me, he carries a shemagh, okay, or uses a sniper veil. It's a very similar piece of equipment. Again, can be wrapped around the head. It can prevent smoke. It can stop dust. It can protect your eyes. It can create a layer that allows you to remain cool underneath because it allows breeze. It can be rigged up to make a shelter. It can be used as a water filter. It can even be used to wipe your bum on and wash later. Okay, so again, clothing, material. That's your first shelter. Your second shelter is obviously your tarp, poncho, whatever you're going to rig up to keep either the rain, the wind off, or the sun off, and make yourself as comfortable as possible. Right? That is a priority. You've got to have that shelter. Okay, so once you've got your shelter up, you can then. Hey mate, no worries. Good to see you. Nice to see you. So you got your shelter. So you get your shelter up. Now your next priority, depending on your situation, is either going to be water or fire. Okay, obviously, if you're in cooler climes or you're in a situation where water's plentiful but you're going to need to purify it, fire's going to be your priority. Okay, so if it's cool or you've got plenty of water but you need to purify it, get your fire going. If you're in a hot climate and you're not going to be purifying water or the water's difficult to find, okay, make water your priority. Get the water sorted out, then drop to fire. Okay, fire, yeah, it's my friend. It's morale. Okay, it's morale. It's warmth. It's light. It's signals. It keeps the wolf at bay, as we said in the past. So lets people know where you are. It just keeps the dark away from you. Okay, I'm not somebody that has any fear of the dark. I was lucky to be brought up on the edge of a very wild part of the UK. And as a small kid, spent hours and hours and hours out in the dark. I was brought up not to be afraid of it, and it left me with no fear of it. but I do understand a fear of the dark. Okay, I do understand a fear of the unknown, because I get that when I'm in an inner city. Okay, when I'm in an inner city, I'm like a cat walking on hot plates. It's not my element. It's not my environment. It sets me on edge. Okay, I know that not everybody out there's nasty, bad, or a problem. It sets me on edge because it's not my environment. Okay, um, yeah. As Lee's just said, always try and pack multi-use items. Any item equipment you've got, try and get more than one use out of it. You can't always, but it's like shelter, isn't it? So you've all seen my video where I use a poncho for collecting water. It's one of the reasons I love a poncho. It keeps the rain off. It collects the rain in. It creates shelter. Creates a wind barrier. Okay, it's an awesome piece of kit. A simple poncho. I think the militaries of the world miss things when they turn around and go, we're getting rid of the poncho. Oh, that's a foolish move. There's so many uses. Mr. Mandarin. Mr. Manwaring. Where are we? Where are we? Yeah, again, yeah, that is the other thing, is it? Right, so that was one of the points I wanted to get onto with survival kits. So these survival kits and tins, right? So you can see it on the video that I did, and it's one of the tins that I think is a good tin. It's not overly expensive. It's a great piece of kit. It has plenty of multiple uses, and that is the Polymath survival tin. Right? They don't give me anything for saying that. I have taken 3 or 4 items out, which no use to me, and replaced them with 3 or 4 other items. Okay, I've taken the tin apart, I've taken stuff apart, and the rest of it. Now, this is the problem with survival kits and tins. If you're going to buy, and bear in mind, that's not the most expensive. There are kits out there, like I say, $5,000, $10,000. But the problem with survival kit is people buy it and they stick it in a cupboard until it goes wrong, and then they dig it out, and then they don't know what to do with the kit that's in it. Okay, or they don't know how well it works. They don't know if it's really efficient, or is that bit of kit not really up to the standard it needs to be. So in a perfect world, buy 2. Buy one that you're going to put away, sealed, in a safe space, to be your survival kit. Take the other one out, open it up, and try out every item in it in a safe environment. Try out the shelter. Try out the bag. Try out the water purification tablets. Try out the firelighting kit. Practice with the mirror. See whether it's any good. See if the kit is usable. See if it's kit you can use. Have a practice with it, and then by practicing the skills and techniques, when you or if you ever did need to go to use it, it's there. Okay. Yeah, it's like me. Okay, so I mean, my friend Derek. Okay, yeah, Derek, that's all right. But no problem. You being curious, mate. So he does a lot of firearms training. Okay, and I spent my bread and butter for 16 years was small arms. Okay, so some of you are going to say, "What's your favourites?" I can tell you now, easily. Okay, my all-time favourite pistols. I have 2. Okay, it's a Sig P226 and Sig P228 as a single. I loved those 2 pistols. Okay, absolutely adored them. Thought they were awesome. Okay, some people find them a bit heavy and a bit complicated. I thought they were brilliant. Okay, thoroughly enjoyed them. Okay, my second favourite pistol of all time, okay, has got to be. Now I've got to think about this a bit sensibly because I've got 2 or 3 up on my high list. Okay, and yeah, I have had a play with the Glock, and yeah, the Glock's okay. Yeah, it's a good pistol. I'm not going to knock it. And bear in mind, we don't carry in the UK, so it's not. If I was looking at carrying a pistol all the time, it would probably be a Glock. for its simplicity and its weight. Well, I've lost my strain now. Where am I going to go on my second pistol? Where am I going to go? So we've done the SIG. It's probably going to be the Bretta, Bretta 92F. Okay. Yeah. Smith & Wesson 686, Glock 19. Yeah, Glock 19. Yeah, great. Unfortunately, they've just come in as I've gone out with the UK. Got to use it a couple of times, but you know, my day it was the Browning 9mm, which was a bloody good pistol for what it was at its age. It was heavy, it was reliable. You could beat a man to death with it. Other small arms, okay, my favourites. I love the Heckler and Koch range. Okay, I love the simplicity of their equipment, and I love the fact that you can train one guy on one and he can operate the whole range. Okay. No problem with the 410 Caroline. Yeah, good 410 shotgun. That does everything. Okay, that's a good survival tool. Sten, yeah, right. For me, it was a Sterling. Just saw the phasing out of the Sterling. It was good again. SIG P250, yeah, good bit of kit. Hi Saturn. So yeah, so in the UK, obviously we're a bit more restricted. So yeah, can't you can have a black powder revolver. Pretty much old cap and ball. I've had a couple of those in the past just for the fun and interest. My father bequeathed me one, which was a Colt, and that was a 44 caliber cap and ball. Beautiful thing. Yeah, absolutely loved that. But again, had no real need or role for it. You can also, under the UK, and it's hard to get, but you can have a pistol in the UK for humane dispatch. So people that have had a humane dispatch license, like myself in the past, the micro kit. Yes, I will dig the moment the micro kit is packed away at the bottom of my gear. I will dig out the micro kit for you. I won't do it tonight. I'll get that organised out. So basically, the micro kit for me comes down to, right, how can I explain my thought process on a micro kit? A micro kit is Altoid size tin, okay? And in that, all I'm looking for is the ability to keep myself moving, okay? So in that, it basically consists for me of dextrose tablets, energy, pure energy, okay? The little tiny Siloom night lights, we use them for fishing and that over here, but they are literally 1.5 inches long, about 3 mm in diameter, a bundle of those. Okay. There is a flap of duct tape in there, which gives me about 6 inches of duct tape, the width of the tin. There is some rubber in a tube. Okay. And there is basically an instant strike lighting system. So I can create fire, I can create light, and I can create energy. Other than that, I have very little in there. It does have a very small mirror in it for reflecting light and a button compass. But other than that, the way I work it is that is a last ditch. That is, for whatever reason, I've got away from my kit and all the rest of it, and I need to move, and I need to move fast for a few hours. Well, it's the old system of stuff the dextrose and go. I used to carry Pro Plus caffeine tablets in there as well. And again, those combined with dextrose just to up my alert state, keep me moving. It's and that is just a micro. It is literally, how could I describe it? Yeah, it is literally just, I'm in the shit and I need to keep going and I need to push myself now. I need to do the extreme. Small enough to go in my pocket. I used to keep things in it like razor blades and stuff like that. But I came to the realization I'm carrying what a Leatherman on my belt already. I've already got another knife in my kit. And the reality of it is, if I've got my pants on, I've got my micro kit in my pocket. So if I've got my pants on, I've got that in there. You can go down as far as escape and evasion kit. You start looking at actually secreting kit within your kit. I always come back to the problem with that is invariably your kit's going to get stolen from you by an enemy force anyhow, or taken off you. You know, you're wearing a nice combat smock. Somebody else is going to want that. It's gone. Well, there's your wire saw, your hidden compass, your hidden map. It's all gone with it anyhow. So again, my attitude was to avoid and give myself that burst of energy. The worst thing I think in a survival situation for you is that flagging. It's that point where you've pushed your body in a survival situation and you are now running out of energy and you start to flag and you're like, how am I going to keep going? Okay. Yeah, Joe used to tell you about the caffeine tablets. I'd help him out on a motorcycle trip one day. Yeah, so it's just enough to just give me that burst, give me another 24 hours. If I can't get out or away from the situation that 24 hours, I would break it down into 12 and 12. So I'd go for what I've got to do for 12 hours. If after that 12 hours, I am now thinking to myself, well, we ain't going to make it tonight, then I've got 12 hours worth of energy to build shelter, to make fire, to settle myself down, to get myself supported. Yeah, so that's how I tend to work with that. And again, I haven't got one here, but it literally goes into a tin that big, just like a little Altoids tin. And it is rather, a lot of people go for a survival kit that's full of gear to create around, and I actually, that kit is for in here. It's just to give that its last fighting breath. I hope that helps with that. Beyond that, you then scale up to your next size tin, which we used to call the old tobacco tin, which I use as an ashtray now. But basically, that size survival tin. I'm surprised what you can put into that. But again, a lot of that is also, yeah, you've got to work out what's applicable to your terrain and your situation. You know, I don't really need a wire saw if I'm in the middle of the Sahara Desert because there's no bloody trees to cut down. Things I always carry in my kit that tucked away, even in that bag there, which you didn't see the other day, is brass wire. You know, I've got roller bar brass wire in there. It's about 2 feet of it, just coiled up in a loose coil. I can improvise fuses in the car with it. I can use that as a strong binding for material, bags, repairing straps, lashing things together, making a hanger for a pot that's not going to burn, snaring, squirrel snares, bird snares, all that sort of thing, all that good stuff. Again, so that's just one of those things that over the years I've gone, do you know what, that's so bloody handy. Keep a coil of that wrapped up, stuck in there. I think in the States you guys use a lot of what you call baling wire. Again, the same sort of principle. It's just a nice, flexible, light wire with a reasonably high tensile strength that you can mould and use for doing most things. The brass wire, a single strip of the brass wire makes a 30 amp fuse. I'll tell you that from experience. I've got my Land Rover out of the poo more than once. Yeah, baling wire to nails. Not too. I just remember reading an article about a couple of guys that used a 2.2 2.2 rimfire round for a fuse in their pickup truck. One of them actually ended up detonating the round and catching one of them in the testicles. Don't think it was the bullet that caught him. It was probably fragmentation from the casing. But cable ties, another brilliant bit of kit. You can't go wrong with cable ties. And again, this is the thing. I liking this. People are sitting here chatting about this and throwing in their ideas, which is brilliant. Yeah. Yeah, it's what works for you. I mean, duct tape. And people feed me back on duct tape. Oh, do you want to use this brand, this brand, this brand? You know, Gorilla Glue, Gorilla Super Glue. As somebody put me onto it because I'd already used super glue in my first aid kit. Yeah, of course you do. I thought everybody does, but works but left. And then somebody said, try the Gorilla Blend super glue as a first aid kit and emergency carry for repairs and that. And yeah, I'm not going to swap back because it's bloody good. Small sewing kit, nothing wrong with small sewing kit. What I tended to do over the years, in fact, I got one out ready for use. I was using it this morning. Where did I put that? I was fixing something this morning. Okie doke. Small sewing kit, okay. So, dental floss, okay. Packs away nice. It's nice and fine. It's 101 uses. Absolutely brilliant. I've used it as fishing lines, and I've even used it to make sutures. And again, yes, it's not sterile. I know it's not sterile, but it just needs sewing up until it can be sorted out at a later date. Same thing with the bandages. You know, your bandages, you've unpacked them and they're ready to go. Yes, they are, but they won't be sterile. The guy's been torn open and he's covered in dirt already. He's not sterile. They'll sterilise it when they get to the hospital. The thing I want to do is stop the bleeding. You know, so it's cracking into the priorities of what you need. And a small sewing kit, yeah, simple needles, safety pins, 101 uses for a safety pin, including opening locks. Okay, absolutely brilliant bit of kit to have, and you're not going to get in trouble with the police for having a safety pin, are you? Hair clips, I think they call them bobby pins in the States. Yeah, self-threading needles, or you get the little bit of wire. It's a needle threading tool. Yeah. Again, they've got a fine bit of use. Israeli bandage setup. Yeah, I'll show you, Matt. Okay. Right. Ooh. So that's your Israeli bandage. Okay, comes packed like that, vacuum packed, sealed, keeps it nice and small, compressed. Great way of carrying it. However, once you've been hurt, especially if it's yourself, opening that is an absolute nightmare. Getting the bandage out is an absolute nightmare. Then the bandage itself has a tie within it to stop it unrolling too far. Okay. What you want to do is take your Israeli bandage out, unroll it completely. Now, normally it's rolled up that way. Unroll it completely, all the way. Undo the tie there, right, all the way through. Roll it back up the wrong way round. Okay, so that the dressing pad is on the outside. Yes, it's not sterile, but what are you doing? You're controlling bleeding. Sterilisation can come at a later date when you're in a position to sort that out, i.e. to hospital, or they've got to a safe environment where you can now start bleeding the wound. Because invariably your wound is going to be dirty anyhow, which means when you apply the dressing, okay, which is already a fiddly and hard thing to do, especially on yourself, but that pad is round the right way. It's ready to start putting on, so that you can then sit in there thinking to yourself, oh, I'm bleeding out, I'm bleeding. You can start to apply your dressing and apply pressure. And again, don't panic about making it super tidy, super neat. All you're trying to do, right? It's you're not getting your Bronze Star in St John's Ambulance Brigade for how smartly you put the dressing on. You're needing to control bleeding, so you get it on and you get it on there tight and well. The Israeli bandage, I love these. They'll get more expensive. They're getting harder to, well, not hard to find. They're readily out there. But again, I speak to military units. Okay, still got friends that are serving. Still got guys that I worked with over the years. And I tell these are dated. They go out of date. So what do? I tell you what, guys, when you've got to bin yours because it's out of date, do us a favour, chuck them in a box. I'll have them. Because I can guarantee you one thing, and that one is, that one's dated 2015. This is still as effective as the day it was packed. Okay. What does happen with these, they go back to the factory and that will get repacked. Okay. It's just as effective. And it's definitely more effective than trying to use a t-shirt or sock. Yeah, thank the bootneck. That was, and that tip is courtesy of Nick Goldsmith, who runs Hidden Valley Bushcraft. Okay. Again, another channel for you to go and have a look at if you're a bit bored. Nick Goldsmith, absolutely brilliant guy, ex-Royal Marine, and he runs the Woodland Warrior program, helping guys that are suffering. And yeah, brilliant guys. Show him some support. He probably doesn't even know who I am, but hey, at the end of the day, I think he's pretty awesome. Yeah, Tampax, always. Got them up there, got them in the kit up there. Never confuse them with your cigars. Okay. And again, the whole packaging. Use the packaging as well. The packaging's got uses. Okay. Day 60. Hey, we're in the same sort of age, so we've got the same sort of mindset. Yeah, so tampon. I mean, teaching courses to people. Always makes you laugh. How embarrassed people get over these things. And yet, at the end of the day, if you just refer to it as a primary firelighting survival blood clotting agent tool, yeah, they're a lot happier about it. And it's never the ladies that get embarrassed, funny enough, it's usually the blokes. It always makes me chuckle. Spray plaster, yeah. Can't recommend that stuff enough. Again, working in jungle environments where it's very moist, very dirty, very humid, you've got high risk of infection. First thing you want to do, even with a minor scrape injury, you want to seal it. You want to prevent the ingress of bacteria. Okay. Likelihood is you've probably already got some bacteria in it. Okay. So my go-to, and this is purely a personal go-to, I always keep iodine with me. The wound gets a little dab of iodine. Yes, it stings like hell, but it'll pretty much kill anything. As soon as that iodine's dried off, I give it a spray over with spray skin. Okay. Spray skin, I don't know if you've all seen it, but okay. So comes in a little can like that. This one is spray plaster. There's spray skin, spray skin, spray plaster, all sorts of things. Okay, a little. You can literally over like that. Takes about 5 to 10 seconds to dry and seals the wound completely. Okay, you can top it up if you need to. It is waterproof. Okay, it's not, I know, say water resistant, not waterproof. If you got that wet and you're rubbing it, yes, you'll clean it off, but it will seal that. So if you splash on, you're crossing a river, you're crossing a ford, you get dirt, gunk on you, animal waste, whatever, it prevents it from getting into that wound, or helps to prevent it getting into that wound. It's a lot more comfortable, it's a lot more reliable than trying to stick on a sticky plaster when your skin's sweaty or oily. And it even works if you're wearing can cream and things like that. So if you've got sun protection on, yeah, it will work then. It's absolutely brilliant stuff. I will say, if you've got a slightly deeper wound, it does sting like hell. But when I first did any medical training, one of the guys said to me, all the best stuff hurts. Okay. Iodine, brilliant. All right. It's as a sterilizing agent and a cleaning agent and a blister treatment. It's awesome. It hurts like hell. Betadine or betadine, okay, doesn't sting like iodine. Yeah, but you're taking half the fun out of it. Okay, got to remember, half the fun of the treatment is washing the casualties. No, it's not. Not allowed to say that anymore. No, it's a betadine. Not come across it. Not come across it. I'm very old-fashioned. Yep. Topical antibiotics. Okay, yeah, always worth carrying. Celox, yeah, Celox, any of the clotting agents, and there are many brands out there. Um, any of the clotting agents are a bonus, but please, if you've used a clotting agent, okay, with your marker pen, make a note of it, or when handing the casualty over, let them know, because that has got to be cleaned out when they get to the hospital. And again, I've had it myself with a casualty where they were nicely dressed up, nicely treated, and got to hospital. They had a quick look at what now looked like a nice closed wound, and yeah, guy got quite a nasty infection. Um, I still say to this day the hospital should have opened that wound and cleaned it out straight away anyhow, but those happen. Yeah, blisters syringed out with iodine and cleaned with iodine. Yeah, and I tell you what, it's one of the most excruciating, painful things in the world. But you, like me, will have found it's agony for a while. But I tell you what, you got the following morning, you can walk on your feet again. Dried it up brilliantly. Okay, we're probably going to find out in years to come that it was absolutely the worst thing you could do. Cayenne pepper, yeah. I've used sawdust, and that was on myself. That worked. Again, because it just assists the blood in clotting. Cobwebs, cobwebs have been used for thousands of years as a clotting agent. Spider webs, you collect those. They as a clotting agent. The down from thistles, dandelions, and fireweed. They will all make very, very good clotting agents because they're very fine fibres and they will bind the blood together. Um, I would rather use quick clot. Um, I've got better uses for cayenne pepper, like my dinner. Uh, yeah. So at the end of the day, it's so again here. This has got me quite interested. So I'm going to have to try that. I need to experiment with cayenne pepper. Then that's worth a go. So again, it's knowledge, isn't it? We're sharing knowledge here. You know, it's. I've never thought of it before, but yeah, it's going to work, isn't it? And I suppose cayenne pepper, being an irritant as well, there's going to be it's got to have some sort of antiseptic or antimicrobial or capability. So what else could you use? So you've got things like garlic powder. So you've got a lot of natural antibacterial capability in things like garlic. So using a garlic powder. Oh, my head's going fucking full fucking herb set now. Borage, yeah, that's another one. There you go, Jace. So here's a guy to listen to. Jason's a chef, okay? Um, Hampshire Outdoor Kitchen, and he's worked with the military for a lot of years. So use corn flour or custard. It won't sting and will clot better. There you go. I suppose that's what it's designed to do. It's a thickening agent, isn't it? So anything that's a thickening agent. Finger in a wound to save bloody life back in the day. So that would have been an arterial or venereal bleed then. So getting into clamping down. Hot blade. Yeah. It works in the westerns. I think any fine powder will seal some. This whole thing of cauterizing wounds, I mean, that goes back to not so much stopping the bleeding as sterilising the wound. That goes back to the old thing of pretty much if you had a big enough wound, you're going to die from infection anyhow. And it's only sort of 150, well, not even 150 years ago. So the advent of penicillin was Second World War. So really, at the end of the day, prior to that, you were pretty much screwed. Yeah. Cornflour makes a good explosive. It's big air. My love, you would never be a guinea pig. Never. Yeah. What was that animal? What was that animal? Forgot what the animal was that we were looking at the Marlborough Zoo the other day now. So you'd use cayenne pepper as an alternative to cooked. Okay. Well, the only, yeah, cayenne. It's got mild irritant, but then is that going to help because it's going to inflame tissue and help to, yeah, yeah. I'm going to have to give that a try. I really have to give it a try. Sand and mud, yeah, basically anything that's a fine powder, anything that's a fine powder will assist with clotting. It's the fact that you've got to get it out of the wound. Yeah, we can do a cornflour test. That's yeah. Anything that causes a bud to clot, thicken. I like that one cornflour, Jason. I do like that. That would be interesting to try. So cayenne and cornflour, I'm going to give a go. Yeah, of course I can. Of course I can. So, right, I've just saying that. Oh, oh, right. Oh, that's a point. That is a point. Derek, that's my email address, mate. Fire me off an email, right, so we can make contact in person. Because if you want, I'll get one of these bags out to you. Not a problem at all. Right, let's try and get this in shot. Okay, so this bag, GSR respirator bag. Okay, what I've done, I've changed the pouches. So that's my water pouch, which is literally just a dump pouch. It gives me a bit more space in it, so I can fit a water bottle in there. And I'm off away this week for 2 days, and the journey is I'm going to be covering about 200, 250 miles. Okay, and I own an old Land Rover, so yeah, I'm prepared just in case it breaks down. So I've got things like in the water pouch there. It's room enough to take a boil in the bag, a couple of spare coffees with space, so I could add to that if I wanted to. So we're now gin in there. Then in that pocket on the back there, something I didn't show you on the kit, and I knocked these up myself. That was originally a snuff tin. When I used to take snuff and tobacco, it's beeswax candle now. Okay, I made the candle myself. You can buy the beeswax online. The reason I like beeswax, again, that will do for treating wounds. It does chapped lips. It treats sores, other injuries. If you're chafing in a gentlemanly area, okay, you can soften that in your hands and use it, and it acts as an agent to prevent chafing. Okay, so that lives in the back there. in a small front pocket on the outside of the water bottle pouch. There is a Nebo light. It is just a small rechargeable LED light, but it is high intensity. It has 3 settings, so it's high, medium, low, and off. Okay, doesn't strobe. Most of the time you'd be running that on low. So that takes care of pretty much that pouch. And there is another little pouch on the front of it if I needed to stick something in there like documents, receipts, something like that. Then come to my main pouch. So let's try and actually set this up a bit easier for you to see. Hang on, bear with me 2 seconds. So if I place that there, move that there, move that over there, move that back to there. Right, that's probably easy to see. So, main pouch. Now, the main pouch, you'll see I've got room in there still. Okay. Always like to leave room in my bag. You never know what else I might need to stick in there or want to carry with me. So, first thing out the top, open that up, and all that is fire sundries. Okay. There's a flint and steel. There's some bank line in there. Matches, windproof matches, bit of jute twine, a little ferrocene rod, some ranger bands, simple as. It's just a fire lighting kit that's kept dry, a tinder kit basically. Lives in the back there, just in case the situation for lighting fire gets a bit more difficult. Compass, it's always in my bag. Not carrying any maps with me this time because the area I'm going to, I know like the back of my hand. I don't even really need the compass unless I was designed to cut across country from one road to the next. But again, it's a route where I could pretty much direct off in any direction and know where I am. NATO cinnamon bun, again, calories, lives down there. Snacking agent, okay, do like my food. In there, Belgian Army poncho. Again, gives me waterproof, gives me a shelter if I need it. If I come across a casualty, I need to cover the casualty, or fatality, I need to cover the fatality. Anything like that, it gives me that as well. Also in there is an emergency tent. Okay, one of the simple mylar bag, orange on the outside, silver on the middle, emergency tent. That combined with that basically gives me a mylar sleeping bag and a shelter. Okay, so it'll get me through the worst of conditions. Right, before we go into brew kit, so three small pockets on the side here. Racing spoon, Finnish puukko, or Norwegian puukko, I should say. Well, it's not actually, it's Finnish. I bought that off a Sami lady. On the outside, Siloon, medical shears, first aid kit, which we pretty much talked about just now. And that in that first aid kit is tourniquet, secondary Israeli bandage. Behind that, chest seal, quick clot or Celox, another emergency blanket, tick tweezers, normal tweezers, pack of meds that are required by me, but also including things like anti-diarrhea treatment, diarrhea-like treatment, and a range of painkillers, some quite severe, and a pack of various size sutures from small to large. Then you've got wound cleansing wipes, not to be confused with alcohol wipes. You don't want to use an alcohol wipe in a wound. And a head torch. And then, of course, surgical gloves. And again, people say to me quite often, why surgical gloves? Well, surgical gloves, it's not just there to protect me, it's to protect the casualty as well. I don't know if I've come into contact with something. I don't want to give them a secondary infection in a severe case. So again, that's in that. It's not a massively in-depth kit. Okay, I'm in the UK. We're in quite a peaceful situation. the worst case scenario for me, in all probability, for me on this trip, is going to be coming across somebody who's had an accident on the road network, and then my role is purely going to be to aid them, keep them alive long enough to hand over to the emergency services. Okay, that's how it's going to roll. In there, that is my fire, my heat, and my brewing kit. So at the top, again, morale and energy. There's a couple of fig bars, 3 coffees, the micro cook set, meth stove. That all lives in there. Now, you say to me, "Oh, but what about the meths?" Well, in this side pocket here, on the other side on the bag, it's a hip flask. That hip flask is green, and it is labelled methylated spirit. Okay, so there's enough methylated spirit in there to keep me going for a couple of days. And again, remembering that unless I'm sterilising water, I'm only making it hot enough to drink, make it a comfortable drink, keep my body temperature up, keep my morale up. And that is pretty much that little, I say, won't call it so much as a bug out as a get me home bag, or a, like Matt called it the other day, grab bag. You know, something to give you enough kit, be easy and light enough to carry, that if the car breaks down, I've got enough gear in there to keep myself comfortable. Or if, God forbid, something went wrong and I had to make my way home on foot, I've got that there. Now, bear in mind, I also carry a car kit already. So in that car kit, I've got more food, I've got a gas burner and things like that. So again, I've got space there. I can then take things from the car, if I needed to, add them to that if I required it. So if the journey was going to be, I don't know, say EMP situation, and I've now got a hoof at home, yeah, that is small, light enough to carry. Okay, there are water purification tablets in there. I can boil water, I can sterilise water. The little stove also doubles up as a twig stove if I needed it to. And I could have made that even lighter by taking the meth spirit stove out and just putting packs of hexamine or solid fuel tabs in there. But I say, Derek, we were chatting about bags the other day. That one, in actual fact, I should show you there you go. So when it comes as standard, those are the side pockets, which again, just on a mold system. And they're quite nice. I've actually taken them off of that bag and I carry them on my belt kit now. So I've got a first aid kit in one, again as a personal carry, and the other one I use for my phone and sundries, because they adapt really nice. You can either have full length, drop it down, got 3 pockets in it. So there you go. So like I say, find me off an email, we'll swap addresses, I'll get one out to you. Bit of a thank you for, well, I watched you on your live stream the other night, we had a chat. Yeah, you mentioned me a lot, so big ups to you, mate. Thank you for that. That's just a bit of a thank you. Hiya, FU crew. How you doing? All good out there, I hope. So where are we? we go. Help people out. Help people out. Show off kit. Swap kit. Yeah. And likewise, I'll tell you what, I'm after an American military poncho. I want to try that in comparison to my Belgian one that I've got over here. So there we go. Cider I'm drinking tonight, my friend, is Merrydown. Basically, has been around since I was a kid. Cheap, cheerful, 6.8%. It's not a massively strong cider. It's a medium sweet, quite pleasant, quite refreshing. I like a medium sweet cider. I'm a West Countryman. So you were saying about Hampshire. So when you look at a picture of the UK, you come down to the UK, it's shaped pretty much like a boot. You got Cornwall over in the far west, basically looking at you guys in the Americas. That's the toe of the boot. If you came up, Hampshire runs from the Isle of Wight, which sits in the English Channel, up pretty much to within, I'd say, 10, 15 miles of the London borders. I'm in North Hampshire, and I can get to London from here in 25, 30 minutes. This week I've got to go see my mum on the Isle of Wight. She's a little island just off the UK coastline. I've got to sailing out of Portsmouth on a ferry. Believe it or not, I am sailing on the most expensive ferry in the world, apparently. Okay. It's only a mile or two across, but it's over £100 to get on the ferry. Cigarettes. Not sure what you mean by that one. Cigarettes, hand rolling tobacco, and I tell you what, it's quite simple for me these days. I buy the cheapest hand rolling tobacco I can find, because I always make the simple statement. In the UK, I don't know about the States, in the UK, they're not allowed to advertise it, they're not allowed to show it, they're not even allowed to show the prices of it. So you walk to a tobacco counter, there's this basically a blank screen, and you go, do you have? Invariably, it's no, we've run out. So nowadays, I just walk up to the counter and I say, could I please have 30 grams of the cheapest hand rolling tobacco you have? Because I'm only going to set fire to it. The only thing I'm choosy about is my cigars. Last week I had Hamlet, which are foul, disgusting, don't like them, stinky, horrible things. But it was all I could get. But normally I smoke those Henry Wintermans, half Coronas. I buy one pack a week, and they do me. On top of that, I use Nordic Spirit nicotine pouches. Drum. Drum. I haven't seen Drum in years, John. I used to love that stuff. Blue pouch. Yeah, Drum. God, Jesus. Drum backing. God, I used to love that stuff. Old Port. That's it. Yeah, Old Port. They were a cigar that I'd like to get. Still way cheaper than factory smokes, yeah? Yeah, hand rolling is. It's interesting. I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. We're all in the same boat. I mean, when I was a nipper, my very first packet of cigarettes I bought legally, at the age of 16, was I see Marlboro. And again, I was 16 years old, wasn't I? I've been watching the Marlboro Man, seen all the adverts. I was like, that's a cool dude. I pack it then. fucking he choked my fucking arse out. I then went over to John Player Special black and gold box again because the box was cool because it was black with gold lettering. Mate, so Nordic Spirit pouches for tactical situations or places where I can't smoke. Top behind my lip gives me a nicotine. Other than that, in the event that you can't smoke, this is an interesting thing, and all the smokers will tell you this, okay? When you can get a smoke, or when smoking is available, then it's something you can do, and you will get pleasure from it. But when you're out of tobacco, everybody else is out of tobacco, there is no tobacco to be had, it's not around, the actual craving's a lot easier to deal with. And I've been in those situations a couple of times where I've had to go without cigarettes for days. And initially, yeah, I'd say the first 4 hours, you're bumping your gums about it. Your brain and your body sort of goes, well, I can't get it, I can't have it, it's not about. And yeah, you still got craving, but it becomes easier and easier to deal with. I've often said to people, if they really wanted to give up smoking, the easiest thing to do is get them banged up in a prison cell, keep them in a prison cell for 3 months, the nicotine receptors in the brain reset, let them go. It's a cheap and efficient way of stopping somebody from smoking. But again, it's a bugbear. It's a bugbear to deal with. Now, if you're in the right place in the right work part of the country and you know your plant law quite well, there are alternatives you can go with. And so you can pretty much, if you have the time, the effort and that, you can produce your own tobaccos. Many indigenous peoples throughout the world smoke, and many of those use other plants other than cigarettes. In the UK, our ancient brethren used to smoke a weed called brum, and it's the fine pineapple plant herb that you see growing on pathways. It would be harvested, the leaves would be taken, dried out, and that. Hemp, yeah, that's another plant that was smoked for hundreds and hundreds of years. There's more than one or two different leaves off of trees that would be dried and smoked, but then weren't getting the nicotine content. Usually it was a ceremonial thing. Okay. Yep. Vapes, brilliant bits. Vapes, yeah. There are 101 uses. Yeah, mugwort. Yeah, that's another one. Hi, Hugh. Nice to see you, mate. Thank you for the advice. Yeah, so it's smoking something that's gone on for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, isn't it? And people always find a way. Woodbines. Players Navy Cup. Now, there was a cigarette for you. Can it? Got enough problems around here with all the cats. Yeah. Yeah. And again, in some indigenous cultures, yeah, brum. See, Vikings used to smoke it. Hey, mate. Now, Hugh, so I take it that you study and have a major interest in mycelium or fungi and that. I'd like to get together with you and have a chat sometime. I know a little bit. I know a few of the basic species. I don't necessarily need to want to learn loads, but I'm always interested in advice, especially from a herbal point of view. And I'm not talking herbal as in wow man herbal. Um, Again, as a medicinal point of view, I've already have 3 or 4 that I go to and use as medicinal herbs for teas and that, and I find they work very, very well. But yeah, be interesting to get together with you sometime. Yeah, brilliant. I mean, if you were up for it one day, it might be nice. One of the things some of the guys have asked me to do about doing some interviews with people, chats with people. So again, it's sharing knowledge and that without being pushy. Might be nice to get together one day, do a walk and talk through. Maybe you can give me some tips and the viewers some tips. Okay, so yeah, we'll get in touch. What I will say to you is that's my email, druidmitch@gmail.com. Gives you an idea of one of the paths I follow. And again, very interested. I'm very interested in indigenous peoples. I'm very interested in traditional medicines. I'm not hippie, but yeah, I think there's a wealth of knowledge in our past that we've lost in the modern world. One of the things I often say to people about survival is is to look back. Okay, when people say to me, "Oh, well, we couldn't survive today if this happened and that happened," and I say, "Well, how did our ancestors get by? How did they get by when they first arrived in the Americas? How did they get by when they first walked out of Africa? How did they get by the pre-agrarian revolution? You know, so we have survived for thousands and thousands of years. The knowledge is out there. It's back there. We've lost a lot of it. Wouldn't take that much for us to refine it. Okay, um, so again, it's that principle, isn't it? If you look at some of the indigenous societies how they manage, we can lost knowledge yet. Yeah, yeah, basic primitive skills. And again, friend of mine, Lee Roberts, I'm hoping to get down and see him sometime in the future. Now, this guy's an absolute whiz. Okay, he's brilliant. And if you've seen my videos, you know that I absolutely hate bow drill fires. Okay, because I fail at them more than I succeed. Flint and steel is as far back as I go. Um, but he's a whiz at it, so I'm going to go and learn. I'm going to take the time to actually go back and say, right, what am I doing wrong? What's my approach? Where do I need to go with this? Okay. So, and again, never stop learning. Hi Ian, how you doing, mate? Not a problem. You made it, right? We're doing really well tonight. Everybody's enjoying it. We're having a great chat. So we originally started off with survival kits, but we're covering all sorts of bits and pieces, and it's great fun. Yeah, studies state we're the last generation with the knowledge of the old, which is a shame. Well, it is, but one of the fastest growing movements, and it's worldwide. Um, it's growing in the States, it's growing in Europe, it's growing here. It's people wanting to get back to um, the old methods, the simple life. We've had so much technology thrown at us in the last 30 years that people are stepping back now. People, they don't want to do away with the technology, but people are rewilding, they're re-in-touching, and it's a growing movement. Wild camping, getting out, learning old skills, firelighting, fishing, hunting, camping. It's all coming back. Natural remedies, cures. Yeah, it's a growing thing, and I think with time, I think it's going to be. It will be. I don't like to think it might be just a fad or a trend. I think it's a movement. I think it's something that's going to grow. Because I think people get their working lives, their lives now technology based, and when you're doing the same thing all the time, then you want to step away from it. You want to break. Um, I had it at work. People say to me, "Oh, so you worked with firearms for 16 years, day in, day out. But that was awesome." Well, it was at the beginning, and towards the end there was good days, but you did you did get days you're like, I've got to go through this again. Same old, day in, day out. It's like working in a chocolate factory. You know, Cadbury's. They used to pride themselves on the fact that their staff could help themselves to as much chocolate as they wanted, because they knew full well within 2 weeks you were so sick of chocolate, you came, you did the job, and you weren't going to bother with it anymore. It is cyclical. It is cyclical. There goes the TBI playing me up again. Circular. It goes round in circles. Yeah. Civilizations all go round in circles. They all have their peaks and their falls. They all move around. Everything does. Dirty Faces, hi there. How are you? It's been a good one tonight. Thoroughly enjoyed it. So, hey guys, so there's 17 of you out there. Well, thank you very, very much. Thank you so very much. We normally run this for about 2 hours. Yeah, and we're now getting to that point where I'm starting to wane a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sit back for a second, finish my cigar, drink some more of my cider, look at the comments, read the comments. Any messages any of you want to send to me or anybody else on there, fire them up there now by all means. And what I'm going to do in another 5-10 minutes, I'll probably call it good night and wind it down from there. But again, if any of you need to get hold of me, want to get hold of me, want to ask me any personal questions, want to get hold of me in any way, again, that is my personal email. Okay. So you by all means, druidmitch@gmail.com. Okay. Please bear in mind, this week I am extremely busy and I am on the Isle of Wight, so I can't get to my computer and my phone will be set on minimum mode. Which one, my friend? This one here. That pack there is the Combat Medics Field Pack. Foxes are greatly, absolutely great. Getting a little bit demanding, hollering up at the window, telling me I haven't fed them yet. Time does fly when you're having fun. Yeah. See, and I find, so you've gone from bushcrafting to prepping. I find people going the other way. You know, they go from prepping to bushcrafting. It's again, there's some people out there. I know one in particular who's actually he's always in bushcrafters. It's all the same skill sets, it's just approached from a different angle and for a different reason. Foxes have been hollering about 10 minutes ago. Not a problem, my friend. Not a problem. I don't. Derek, I don't have any US kit, unfortunately. US kit for us in the UK is hard to get hold of. It's a bit of a nightmare. Yeah, trying to get hold of it is a bit of a problem. In fact, I've got to answer a question for somebody who I think was going to be on it tonight. Somebody did ask me the Crusader 2 cook set, what was the weight? So that's Crusader 2 cook set. That's with a litre of water, with a couple of coffees in there, and a spoon thrown in there as well, and a meth stove. Right, that is coming in at, that's £1, 0.9 ounces. Okay, I'll give that to you in grams. 490 grams. So a pound and an ounce, and that's a litre of water, the full Crusader 2 cook set. So I hope that helps. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, if any of you guys can help me out, there are two pieces of kit, in fact, 3 pieces of kit I'd really like to get my hands on. Always happy to pay for them, to get them over here, but I'm after a US poncho, so I can compare it to the old British one and the Belgian one, which is quite common over here. And maybe at some time I'd like to try and get hold of one of these woobies I hear so much about. Let's see what that's like. Ray, good night, mate. Take it easy. So yeah, so that's a couple of bits of kit I'd be interested in trying, because again, I see them on other people's channels and I think, do you know what? Yeah, I hear a lot about them, but yeah, it's getting the kit over it. I don't have the Berkeley water filter. I do have the Sawyer. Um, I've got a Sawyer water filter, and I also I've done one of the videos, and I'll do another one. I'll do an update some point at actually improvising a water filter using Britax water filters and things like that, kitchen water filters, and go through that system. Yeah, problem is, Lee. I go through some of the surplus stores, and if they can get it, they just got that, John. I'm sitting there reading it. I'm like, hey, now I get it. Yeah, I like the yeah, water filter wise. I go with Sawyer Mini. I like that. And I've also I carry, if I'm going into a really rough terrain, I carry a Millbank bag, and I will pre-filter and double filter the water. So pre-filter using the Millbank bag into a container, and then use the Sawyer to pump, or use that water through the Sawyer, pump it out, and then use it from there. Um, right. So the reason that methylated spirits is dyed purple goes back to the First World War, when they used all sorts of spirits within the military and civilian world, and they also used a lot of alcohols, and there was a lot of people confusing methylated spirits and other spirits for alcohol and swigging it. Okay, it was ending up in water bottles, and all sorts of nasty things were happening. So what they did was they made it law that methylated spirits was dyed purple. There was one of the medical spirits had to be dyed green, and so on and so on. Now we can get things like denatured alcohol and that, which are obviously clear, and it's just relates to that. Methylated spirits has always been purple because of that reason. It was so it could be recognised for what it was straight away. Yeah, Millbank bags, gotta love one for the size of them, for the weight of them. Great bit of kit, and we'll get out pretty much all you want. Yeah, they are. A lot of filters are pretty much the same. The two types of filter you're going to get is a drip filter and a pressure filter. Okay, and basically what it means is usually with a pressure filter, they are hollow tube filters backed up with activated charcoal, and you actually need a bit of pressure to get it forced through the filter. Drip filters take a lot longer, and they're quite often just the hollow fibre, and it's just weighted water drops through. Right. Oh, I swig on my cider. That's good. That is good. So I will say to all you guys, bless you. Thank you for coming tonight and joining us on the Social Sunday. I'm looking at the figures in front of me. It's the best one I've had so far, and I hope you've all enjoyed it. I hope you understand the context of it. I'm, I try to come up with a theme, and I try to head towards a theme for each Social Sunday. However, as I said to you in the beginning, my idea of this Social Sunday is a gathering. It's a bar. Welcome to my bar. Okay, you're all friends in my bar. stood there nattering. I'll waffle away here. If you want to chat amongst yourselves, make contacts, make friends, share information, share stories, have fun. It's a safe place. Okay. Kaz, my wife, is the moderator. So if you step out of line, you've got to deal with my wife. And I tell you now, she's kept me in my place for plenty of years. So again, thank you for joining me. And this will occur every Sunday at this time. It always does, because it's my wind down. This is my social time. I don't go to pubs and clubs anymore. I spent too many years working as a doorman to enjoy a pub or a nightclub anymore. I spent too much time looking around for trouble. So this is my social Sunday. This is my perfect club. You are my perfect clientele and friends. Thank you for joining me tonight. It's been absolutely fantastic. Hey, Saturn, see you next Sunday, my friend. See you next Sunday. Hugh, thanks, pal. All right, I'll be on the Isle of Wight ferry on Wednesday morning. Great fun. But yeah, we will get together and have a chat. And welcome and nice to see you, my friend. Nice to see you. Kaz, I'll be down for a cup of tea in a bit. Rick, as usual, mate, cheers. Thank you very much. I hope you've had a good week and I hope you have an awesome one. FU Crew, thank you very much, sir. Not a problem. My pleasure. Thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you next Sunday. And again, any ideas, anything you want to throw up, anything you want to discuss with the guys, any ideas and that, the only rules we have on this is we try not to get political and we try not to cover religion. Two of the biggest arguments ever caused. Other than that, it all goes, okay? With the exception of me being asked to stand on the table and dance naked. That ain't happening. Ain't happening. Well, it's been known to happen after a few of these, but John, thanks, mate. Stay safe. Have a great one. Take it easy. Have an awesome week. I'll let you guys know we've already done the video for this week because obviously I'm away. That will be uploading on Thursday. For you guys in the States, there's a bit of a message by way of a short coming out to you later in the week. Hope you enjoy it. Pole dance. You mean I dance like a pole? And this week's video, we went out very early, actually, very early hours of Saturday morning. And we had to wander around local ancient ruins. And yeah, I'll let you guys know the truth. I messed up. I forgot to take mess spirits with me. Luckily enough, teamwork. Mac had the BCB kit with him. So we did manage to get a coffee out there. But yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy that video. A bit of interest for you. And a little bit something different. It's a lovely medieval site. Got a lot of history there. Depends how hot the coals are. Oh, did I say that? Been a wonderful evening. Thank you very, very much. And you know what? I will say to you guys that's still on there, one of the things about this helps me get by. These Sunday nights is one of the things. It's my breath of fresh air. It makes me realise what I'm doing is the right thing and I'm doing it right. So thank you very much for all your responses, all your comments through the week and that. I really appreciate all the support. It's fantastic. Guys, have an awesome week. Have your adventures. Stay safe. Have fun. Love those you do. Forgive those you don't. And as always, may peace and light be on every single one of you. Guys, this is Mickey. Mickey out. Take care.